The world is made up of countries, the countries are made up of people, and people are made up of emotions. We like to believe that nations make decisions on the basis of logic, data, and policy, but the reality is different. We are not thinking machines that feel. We are feeling machines that think. And what if I told you the war between nations is not just about money, steel, or supply chain? They are equally about pride, fear, and sometimes even personal ambitions. Throughout history, countries have clashed not just over resources, but also over identity, influence, and survival. Every trade dispute carries layers of emotions beneath the surface. And recently, the world witnessed a new trade conflict between US and India. A battle that looks simple on paper but is reshaping global alliances, economies, and how the countries see each other. And in this video, we will uncover the hidden emotions and motivations behind trade wars, why America's America First policy triggered the tension, and why these conflicts matter not just for the governments but for businesses and even you. By the end of this video, tariffs won't just be the numbers for you. They will be moves shaped by emotion, strategy, and global alliances, shaping the world we live in. But before we move ahead, there is one thing that we need to understand, and that one thing is economic nationalism. Just like we have subjects such as science and maths, there is also a field of study known as international political economics. And this subject helps us understand how the economics and politics of countries influence each other. And this subject also introduces various theories such as economic nationalism, liberalism, Marxism, and many more. But for our purpose, we will focus only on economic nationalism as of now. Economic nationalism in simple word means putting your own economy and people first. You can say it is based on the idea of charity begins at home. A country first focuses on its own industries, jobs, and economy before going out and helping other countries. And we have witnessed various examples of it. From Make in India to Made in China 2025, various countries on time to time have advocated the philosophy of economic nationalism. And one of the main ways countries put economic nationalism into practice is by tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods that make the foreign good costlier so that people can focus and put more emphasis on local businesses, so that people don't buy foreign product and they buy indigenous products. And this had been the exact philosophy of Donald Trump, which led to the America's America First trade policy. For over a decade, Donald Trump's economic philosophy has always been centered around economic nationalism, putting American workers, industries, and domestic production first. Long before he became the president, he was vocal about the economic policies that, in his view, have disadvantaged the US. Even in 2000s, he criticized the agreements that were entered into by US with China's and many other nations. By 2011, in his book Time to Get Tough, he was advocating about tariffs and a stronger stance in international trade. When he ran for the presidency in 2015, economic self-sufficiency and job creation were at the heart of his political campaign. During his term from 2017 to 2021, he even acted on these ideas, wherein he withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, imposed tariffs on steel and aluminium, and also initiated a trade war against China. Fast forward to 2024, with another campaign underway, he doubled down on this vision. His so-called Agenda 47 included aggressive tariffs on foreign goods, tax cut for American corporations, and also deregulation to boost the domestic energy. And all of this set the stage for January 2025, when they came up with America First trade policy, which was a blueprint built on years of economic nationalism, protectionism, and favoring American interest. And with this mindset of putting American workers and American industries first, Trump started his tariff game. Trump began imposing tariffs aggressively, one after another, on countries around the world. And this wasn't a slow and gradual process. It was a rapid-fire execution of his economic nationalist vision. It wasn't random. They had their own plans and justifications. First, trade deficits. Countries importing far more than exporting were prime targets. China with $295.5 billion, Mexico with $171.5 billion, and Vietnam $123.5 billion. The goal was to reduce this gap. Next was reciprocal tariffs. If a country taxed US goods, America would match or penalize them. For them, it was just a fair play approach. China 34%, India 26%, Japan 24%, and Brazil 50%. And third, they said national security. Tariffs targeted steel and aluminium by 25 to 50% and automobiles in countries like Canada and Mexico by 25%. In short, US focused on three factors. First, trade deficit. Second, reciprocal tariffs. And third, protecting their key industries. All to strengthen their domestic production and enforce fair trade. By now, you might be thinking, well, what Trump did was fair. Protecting America's interest, protecting America's worker, protecting America's industries is fine. Almost all the countries in the world would do the same if they were in their place. But here is the catch, my friend. While the idea of putting your country first sounds reasonable and justifiable, the execution had several flaws. Let's break down where the things went wrong. First, the flaw in the theory of economic nationalism itself. Economic nationalism assumes shielding domestic industries always help, but tariffs can backfire. While jobs may be protected for a short term, but consumer pays a lot, and the businesses, they have to pay extra money for procuring the raw material that they need in order to produce the finished goods. And over the period of time, domestic industries become less competitive and less innovative. Second is about world order perspective. The world today is highly interconnected and multipolar. Countries rely on each other for supply chain, technology and trade. In a multipolar world, no single country can fully protect itself without consequences. And trade wars can end up hurting everyone, including the country that started it. Third, diplomacy perspective. Trade is not just economics, it is a tool for diplomacy. Imposing tariff without proper coordination can strain the political relationship between the countries and can shift the global alliances. And that is exactly what we witnessed during the SCO summit. Pure protectionism and economic nationalism can risk the isolation of the country that started it. And isn't it what US is experiencing right now? Now the question comes, if you and I are intelligent enough to understand the repercussions of economic nationalism, aren't the US policymaker wise enough? And that is why I say, people aren't thinking machines that feel, they are feeling machines that think. Many a times our decisions are shaped first by emotions and logic comes later. Nationalist policies may feel right emotionally, but in a multipolar world, relying purely on the protectionism can backfire, strain the political alliances and even isolate a strong country like US. At this point of time, I personally feel that America acted like a Gen Z kid who believes Delulu is the only Solulu, ignoring the fact that the world today is completely different from the post-Soviet era of 1991, when the US emerged as the sole superpower in the world. The world has changed and now it has shifted to multipolarity. It is not a unipolar anymore. And maybe America on this date has started realizing this. And that is the reason why Donald Trump tweeted this. And I would like to end my video with the same thing with which I started it. The world is made up of countries, the countries are made up of people, and people are made up of emotions.